go?
Last time they didn't, remember? Oh,
There we go. All right, so it is Tuesday evening, October 7th. And this is the advisory meeting. We're here this evening to authorize some transfer requests. So the agenda for this evening, go through the transfer requests. I just want to spend a little bit of time on the future schedule. And then just go around the table and see how we're doing with new members and things like that. When I forwarded this agenda to Linda, she's like, "New members? Do you know something that I don't know?" I'm like, "No."
It's a pet.
It is just
Wrong answer.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what I have here are so first of all, the main point of this meeting was we were going to be talking to Parks and Recreation, and they are not going to be here this evening through a very thoughtful question. Wonderful. That was great. No, really. The fact that they hadn't investigated that previously is a little interesting. So the fact that they are now, I think is good. And so we'll see where that goes. So this was, there was an electrical box down in Pond Park. There was some tree work. It got knocked over, and so there was the Parks and Recreation were going to essentially, foot the bill.
Well, I would just add too, it's not only the town's insurance, the damage was caused by a contractor.
Exactly. Yes.
And so they always have insurance too, right? If you have a tree service come to your house and they misdirect the tree and it lands on your house, it's not your insurance that pays for that, it's their insurance that pays for that. So that, I heard the word insurance, I was thinking, when I said insurance in my head, I was thinking their insurance. Because certainly our insurance would cover it too, if it was an act of God and we just woke up one morning and a tree had fallen and done damage.
Struck it.
And then that's fine, that's why we have insurance, but inevitably rates go up for things like that, and I wouldn't want our rate to go up for something that wasn't our fault, that was covered by a worker's insurance policy, which is, so I don't know how we can get that through the channel to Tom or to the Parks and Recs folks, but when I was saying insurance, I'm thinking contractors insurance, not, was it the tree warden, was it our guy?
My understanding was that it was they were going to go back and talk to the contractor. They was hired out. So I guess the tree warden kind of oversees these projects, but then ferries out contracts. The concern is, it was upwards of 6 months ago, so suddenly, selective memory on these, contractors. So we'll see, but, I heard from Linda that the concern from, Parks and Recreation, by them not showing up here, that, and subsequently being denied, that, they'd be coming back to us and we would be questioning them, why weren't they before us sooner? And I assured Linda that we would not do that. We very well may have in the past inquired, why didn't you come to us sooner? But we are all in the know as to why they were originally coming in and why it's been delayed. So,
and I would say with appreciation for the delay, so that they can cover that base. But if it doesn't work out, that certainly, it's an important electrical system in that place. It needs to be fixed.
And this is just simply, let's move forward, due diligence, and see if that can be addressed, that route, and then whatever delta, we can pick up the difference. So that's the deal there. The remaining, but with that said, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 transfer requests, all from Donna Madden. And so the first one is the wages for the town planner. So the understanding here is when the new town planner came on board last year, there was a mistake in filing or coming up with the salary on tying that out together. So the reasoning here is incorrect amount was budgeted for her salary is what I'm getting here.
too low?
Yes, so the requested amount is $1,500 to be transferred to,
Who puts the budget together for her salary? Isn't it Dawn? Yeah, I mean, I'm just amazed that we budgeted the wrong amount for someone.
yeah, and so it might,
Okay,
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
And she came in after the first of the year, right?
Yeah, it was a mid-year, it was a,
Yeah, but that should have been done for 15.
Okay.
This is for this year.
Right, you're right.
I mean,
That wasn't the year
We
she-
also, she was making more money, we should have been over for this last 6 months of the last fiscal year too. Right? 'Cause she was getting paid more money than Jenny was. And she came in the middle of the year. Jenny's old salary would have been less than her new salary, and she's getting paid the new salary, so we should have exhausted the money pretty quickly in the last budget cycle too, but whatever.
so $1,500 being transferred to,
This is from advisory reserve too? From the top, I should say.
yes, from the reserve fund, yes. Just a point of what numbers do I need to read off here?
You can have somebody make the motion, or you can say, and you can make the motion yourself by saying, I will accept the motion too, and then make the motion.
Yeah.
So if you do that, I would say, all you need to say is from advisory reserve to department, whatever the numbers are.
All right. So I will accept a motion to approve a $1,500 transfer from the advisory reserve to 0.10175.51.51140.
Which is tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would not just say town,
It doesn't list it.
this is 175, so department 175, I think, which is the town planner account.
There you go.
Oh, here's the cheat sheet.
Look at that. From to Department 175.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Beautiful. Ooh, oh my God! Holy cow! And
I know, how did he do it so fast, right?
no, because I'm looking for the S. And
Oh,
it's
Sasha.
I'm looking for
Correct.
stuff.
Don't worry.
Oh, Anastasia, I'm sorry,
No,
I'm
it's fine.
sorry,
I'm
that's
sitting there
tricky.
going,
No,
where
my bad.
is that? Let me go on to Connie. Let me find Connie. Holy smokes! All right. So this was
7,
yeah.
10-7, 4 members present and voting, and then approved in the amount of $1,500.
Do I have to sign all of them?
You do, but I
Alright.
typically,
Let them fill out the rest.
no, I typically just do it at the end of the meeting. or
Beautiful.
When there's time, you know.
And to allow you to
But you-
leave earlier.
But you
I read it.
can do it
No, no, no.
too. That's
No.
what I have done before.
I just want to ask while you're here before you get up and leave.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right, we're flying along here. So the second request is also from Donna Madden. It is from the reserve fund. It's for the amount of $250. Short longevity payment. These are all different departments. I can't lump them in. All right. Short longevity payments for FY15. So I'll accept a motion to transfer $250 from the advisory reserve fund to Department 421.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah.
So 421 is highway, I believe, DPW?
Yes,
So
sir.
who did we miss? Did they tell us who we missed? Because did somebody must have triggered? Because usually what happens is once you trigger longevity, you're in longevity. Did somebody trigger, did somebody new trigger the longevity?
Yeah, let me see if I have.
There's like 3 triggers.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just
No, I don't-
curious if they listed
You
it.
know, I didn't, when I was on the phone with Linda this morning, that's what I was calling her about, was to, if she could give me a little additional summary.
I mean, these must be all new, because we got 2 more coming up. They must be people that,
Yeah, the other 2 are also longevity payments. So I never, when we got to talking, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I've got enough of a background, so I don't have the actual people. Do you happen to know?
I'm just looking to see, you know, we get the sheets every budget cycle for, I'm looking for the, but it's not gonna give me the breakdown,
won't give
no.
you-
The DPW is a nice breakdown that everybody else has.
So in the future, what I would ask is, in a transfer like this, you would want to know why we didn't budget for it, and then the answer would be, we clearly didn't budget for these things. I always like to know why.
Yeah,
Did we not realize that X person was approaching their milestone year in which they were eligible for longevity? Did we just simply forget about longevity for certain people when we budgeted for them last year? Who were the people, right? Those are the, I'm not telling you what to ask, but those are the things that,
no, it's also just, I'm just thinking, that those are all great questions, and more importantly, questions that we all should remember to ask moving forward. So as they're building out as the
People should-
department heads give out the budget, give us a sense of,
we've said this before, we need to know the following expense is extraordinary and unforeseen for the following reasons, right? 250 short for longevity payments. Why? Well, you know,
Yes.
we've always wanted to know why.
extraordinary.
So can I,
Why is it extraordinary? Did we mess up? Did we just forget? I mean, all those answers are fine. It's better context for us. Okay.
so I started a spreadsheet that I haven't completed, but I've been trying to figure out grid, basically, the grades and the steps, who's in the union, who gets stipends, who gets COLAs. Should I add longevity to that, or is that gonna fall under the grade step?
No, longevity is just the years of service. It's in
So
the
it would
town's
kind of be
bylaw.
like-
It's voted on by the town. It's a very small amount.
Oh, yeah, and I think
It's
it's
like
appropriate.
$200 if you've over 20 years of service or something. It's 100.
Yeah,
There's very few people
And
right now at
it
that.
applies to everybody. Yeah, no, it's not very many, which is why I'm trying to figure out why we had to run on the bank here in 3 things. It makes me think that we didn't budget it.
So I love this, Tasha, and yeah, I
Working
think.
on it.
Well, we
I
already
think,
have one of these, just so
Oh,
you
do
know.
we?
Remember when we did who was eligible for COLA? Remember that was a whole big thing?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it, that's it.
So that's
That's
what I started this
memorialized
off.
better.
Did something get generated from that conversation?
Just the written stuff that you have.
Oh, okay. So that I've transferred it because I'm more of a visual.
That's great.
But I'm glad I'm on the right track. I'm gonna try to get it more, maybe I'll talk to Don, is he the person to talk to make sure I got it right?
Do you have budgets in here?
Not in that one.
So let's just check while
Because,
we're plenty of time.
yeah, to
right?
know-
Check 421.
so who's,
So when we go through each person's budget, or,
Who's
you know,
coming
each
up for this
department's
year?
budget, you know, you'll see it before we get there. I don't know, that was
and hasn't been accounted for, so we're not going
doing
through
this again next year, exactly. Like, I feel nervous, somebody else is like.
What's that?
Because they're my chicken scratches.
Sure.
That's good. I just looked at the
No,
time.
this is,
Good time.
DBW?
I don't
Yeah.
know. You don't?
Just in general.
All right. Do you?
Right now, you had no time to sleep.
Yeah, so,
You gotta bless the mess on
Alright.
that.
It's good that you have some time.
But it's not complete yet because that's that confusing. I've had to go back and
It's
search
wonderful.
for kind of.
Wonderful.
we're in 421, Randy. All right, so while Randy's doing
So,
that,
so look, so I can't read those numbers. Longevity, right?
Yep,
Is that 1750 or 21? Something, what is it?
2750.
It's the same from last year?
Yes. Let me see.
requested approved for fiscal year 2014 was $2,750. So it was
And
the
then same
same.
for 15?
And same for 15.
All right, so we're doing 250 more, which to me means somebody new, because we didn't drop the budget year to year. This is somebody new that qualifies. But we have to confirm that, right?
Right.
It's gotta be somebody new,
It's kind of,
And it would be one.
which is great. I'm just trying, I mean, it context it better for me that it's a new person that we missed as opposed to something else. And then what you do on this is, next budget cycle, we always learn from these things, and next budget cycle, you would know to ask somebody, have we anticipated longevity next year for people that will get triggered in
Right.
fiscal year 16, right?
Right.
Not that these are big money, but this is $1,000 right off the bat from advisory reserve. It's 1% of our reserve because we screwed up longevity in the budget, right? You might want that $1,000 in 10 months' time.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next one, same thing, longevity payment, short $175, coming from advisory reserve to Department 299, communications longevity. I'll accept a motion to approve the amount of $175 coming from advisory to Department 299.
So moved.
second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, last one. Same thing, I'll accept a motion to transfer $100 as a result of longevity payments being short for FY15, coming from advisory reserve, going to Department 210. The writing here is terrible.
So moved.
Second.
All, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Alright. So, making some questions, Randy, thank you for those suggestions. Completely agree. Alright, moving on quickly here, future schedule. Real simple, I mean, we've readjusted our lives to work on Tuesdays. It's gonna be the same Tuesdays. I've asked Linda to go ahead and take a look at last year's. If I remember correctly, last year's schedule was really almost a repeat of the one before. I don't think we need to, change things up. So she's gonna start working on building a schedule very similar to last year. At least a rough draft. I'll take a look at it and then go from there. But once I get it, we'll get it forwarded to you guys. I don't see any major changes, so we'll just build it out very similar to what was last year.
This is when the departments are coming in.
Exactly, when all the various departments are coming in, who's gonna come in on the night. I mean, I think 2 years ago where we had a couple of nights where some real big departments came in and we went really, really late. Some of that was rectified last year in terms of jockeying the various departments around.
What's late to you? I remember being here till 11:30 on a lot of night.
Yeah, I think that there's other reasons, for that. So I think we'll, and I would really like to, I'm hoping that we're also gonna be able to, really change the focus of the time that we spend together.
Well, there's nothing big coming up either, right? I mean, we don't have any,
You don't know yet, but
not yet.
Well, I was gonna actually, to that point, suggest maybe capital planning a little bit earlier in the cycle?
No doubt about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
No
I would
doubt.
also suggest that you hold capital planning's feet to the fire on a clear deadline and a deliverable. Because if you remember last year, we were waiting
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it did not get any better from the year before when we had problems. And so it's, hey, if you guys are gonna be on the committee, and this is a public meeting, and I'll say it out loud, if you're gonna be on the committee, you need to take a schedule serious and start your work as early as you can so you can get, it's important for you to deliver your recommendations and package to advisory by whatever date you set, which we set one last year, just didn't get back.
Yeah.
I would also say to your point on changing the focus, I think it's a good one. I think that you need to, and we talked about this in the debrief, spend less time on the nickels and dimes and the $100 supplies, and you need to carve out more time in the process to talk about lease versus buy, free cash,
Yeah.
philosophy, pay down the fire truck ban or not, in light of all this extra free cash that we have. Tax relief, the whole 9 yards, all the good stuff that we spent time on that we felt rushed because
It was
Spent
going
too
late.
much,
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely, that's the game plan. I mean, the departments are still gonna come in, we're gonna go through the budget, but it's not gonna be, I am hoping, it doesn't mean that it's going to be taken any less seriously, but I absolutely would like to work on changing the focus slightly, because those are some really big
Yep.
topics.
And pretty soon you're gonna need to talk to Don about his communication to the departments as they prepare their budgets. Is it going to be another level funded request year? I would happen to think that it probably needs to be. And then what you do is you make a mandate that when you come in, and I'm just throwing this out there as an idea, when you come and meet with us, we'd like you to start your discussion on any line item that has changed from the prior years approved. And you can whittle down a lot of time that way.
Yeah.
If you feel we did a really good job last year, we eliminated the waste, bad word, the extra.
Right.
The answer to that is, did we do a good job? I don't know. I mean, we had an $80,000 give back in free cash, in addition to being able to cover $150,000 to $200,000 worth of snow and ice. So we over budgeted by $200,000 or $300,000. Is that sound good? Is it bad? I think it's fine. I think it's fine. And so then, if you're convinced that we did a good job and we've done a good job, then all you need to really focus on next year is, if you're gonna give level funded, is tell me where you're changing from last year. If your supply item is going from 2,000 to 3,000, or if it's going from 2,000 to 2,000, you might wanna check the ledger, as we do, and say, you only spent $10, what gives? Or you just say, it's flat, and it was supposed to be flat, and let's move on. And you save a lot of time. Just throwing it out there as some
Yeah.
ideas.
All right. So that's the game plan. I mean, and there's, I'm also trying to figure out, we had met with the assessors early on before we got going. And Randy, I'm hoping you can add some color in here. We were waiting, were we not waiting for a certain point in time to meet with them?
Yeah.
They were waiting for certain information from the state, right? And then we had that meeting
Yep.
with assessors.
Yeah, they don't set the rate until, I think it's in November. And at that time, they'll sort of put the cap on last year and start thinking about this year. And then that's usually a good time to meet with them. We wanted to meet with them before they went to the selectmen to recommend where we fell in the levy capacity last year,
Yeah.
remember? So you gotta find out when they're on to talk to the selectmen. My gut tells me it's somewhere in November.
I thought it wasn't September or October that we met with them?
No, it was, no.
I don't think so, but I don't remember, I honestly don't remember.
All right.
But we tried to meet with them, and they actually wanted to meet with us before. They wanted to get our take on
Yes.
what they were gonna do. And so you should talk to Nichols and get an idea as to what their committee timing is. And we want to probably set a meeting to get to to talk to them about setting the tax rate. Because at that meeting, you're gonna need to talk to them about, hey, they're gonna need to deal with the snow and ice deficit, they're gonna need to eat into some of that capacity that we worked hard to free up. You're gonna need to tell them, hey, we're committed to taking some of this free cash bounty and squirreling it away to recapture that lost 100,000, right? Which is what I would promote doing right off the bat. And so it's that back and forth that has worked good the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Because they're on our side too. And they see the good work that we've tried to do and they believe in it and want to do it too. And also at that time, Brad, they'll tell you what they're thinking about in terms of abatement releases, overlay releases rather, because of that cell tower issue.
That's right.
And that that is important for the budget cycle, because that's stuff that Julie needs clarity from. Julie needs directive from the assessors to release any money in the budget sheet. She needs sort of a vote from the assessors, and if the assessors don't meet and don't vote, then Julie refuses to scorekeep for it. So that's about the time that they talk to us about that too. And then we typically have them in very early on in the budget season in January.
Yeah.
To talk about new growth and all that kind of stuff. So I would recommend you call.
Yeah.
You call Nichols, and you also maybe get Linda to tell you a list of all the meetings that we had from October to December of last year.
She gave me all that, and I just haven't had the time to look through it.
Yep.
But I absolutely will. And then, you know, we'll also meet with the selectmen prior to really getting cranked up as a result of, you know, the feedback and commentary that we all had here just prior to the town meeting last spring. So, you know, I think it's appropriate for us to get together with them and see what they might be looking for in the hopes of heading off any potential you know, issues closer towards town meeting. So we'll look to do that. And so more to come on the schedule, but you know, for the time being, I will ask all of you to, you know, keep your Tuesdays fairly open. And then finally, you know, new members. I know we've all been picking up the phone and reaching out to people we know, and but as of right now, the few people that I've reached out to, it's all been in the negative.
And I said yes, and was supposed to come pick up a packet, but
yeah, there was a gentleman who made a phone call to me last night, so I spent a little time on the phone with him, and he was referred in from Ken Troop. Seemed very nice. He's said he was retired, and you know, I gave him the lowdown. I was brutally honest with him on expectations. My thought is, there's no point in sugarcoating this. If you know they're coming and they're asking exactly what is entailed, and so you know, I laid it out for him, and he seemed interested. He was going to. He said he was going to stop by the town hall. So we'll see.
Encouraging.
Yeah.
Did the nominating committee talk? Did you get an update from Linda from the nominating committee?
I had gotten an update from Pam, because Pam reached out to me on a couple of folks asking, you know, if I could reach out to them, and I already had, and so when I last spoke with Pam, they did not have anyone.
Did you notice that in the Independent, this last week's issue of the Independent, that the wanted advisory member sort of advertisement was gone? I made a mental note of that. Right, it had been running for a while, and so it's gone. So I don't know if it's gone because the Independent doesn't want to run it anymore, or we stopped sending it.
Yeah.
If it's that we stopped sending it, I think it's a bad idea. I'd also suggest, and we haven't done this before, is maybe maybe each one of us signs up to write a letter to the paper. It's all within our right to write letters, and they will be published. And maybe we each write a letter every week to the paper that says, hey, my name's Brad, I'm on advisory, it's an important job.
No, I've no problem writing
I understand.
to the newspaper.
You know, special town meetings should be abolished. No, sorry. That's a couple years ago.
Cut every tree down.
So just cut all trees near the power lines. I forget. Harken back to Brad's last letter that I read. You know, maybe it's more personable if it's coming from us as the people. I will tell you that people myself included, seem to gravitate in that paper to the letters because there's often some good stuff in there.
I love Roger Breeze's article.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Those things,
The story ones.
Oh, those are great.
But the letters seem to get a lot of people, like the police logs, to read.
It's real, it's just real.
Yeah, and then maybe, just a suggestion, maybe we start to, we embark on there's 4 of us, we each take a week over the next 4 or 5 weeks. We write a quick letter to say, you know, what advisory means to us and why you should,
You can't go
why
first.
it's hard. No. Listen, just because I won off doesn't mean anything to me. It meant something.
It's 6
It meant a
years of
great
your life.
deal to me for more like 7 or 8.
So there you go.
I just a thought, right? Because clearly the wanted advisory, 2 advisory members ad, people are just glossing over because it's been in there a long time.
Yeah.
But you write a letter and maybe somebody reads the letter. Doesn't seem like you're enthused about the idea, but I'm just throwing it out there.
No, it's not
I will if you do.
What?
I said I will if you do.
Okay.
I have no problem.
Yeah, I have no problem with that, other than
Put something on the town website.
time to write it. So,
Of course. Actually, it's probably not the best time to write this because you're going to get, over the course of the next few weeks, you'll get a lot of political
Right, maybe after the election.
support type things for
Yeah.
the November 7th election or whatever, so.
do
I
we
thought-
really want to wait till after November 7th, right?
Tight then.
So update
yeah.
for me is I was close, I thought really close on one. Another new job type thing.
Mm. We'll try not to hold their head underwater next time. They might just say that.
So nothing, I have nothing to report on the new member search.
The candidate that I had spoken with is still potentially interested in the future, but right now they have a lot of family things going on. Wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
Couldn't fall
I
for that.
usually get somebody and they know they've watched and they know what we do and you even talk more about it and they get excited and they say, what's a typical meeting? And I'll say, listen, from January to May, we meet on Tuesday nights from like 7 to 10, 10:30, and that's usually where you lose people.
Right, because I think that's what happened to my kid.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot we can do about it.
No.
I will say that, and maybe you just reinvent yourselves, right? What we did talk about a lot over my tenure was, the school committee on Saturday morning for like 5 hours. They go through the budget.
I was there.
Right. We talked about, couldn't we on Saturday morning bang through 2 Tuesdays worth of meetings, But you give up your Saturday morning. And you gotta find all these departments to be willing to come and meet with you on Saturday morning.
Not for 2 Tuesdays. You throw in maybe 3 Tuesdays.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking like an 8 to noon. Not ideal, but it's something that we threw out and it didn't get a lot of traction. Maybe that's where we meet Tuesday nights, because I think it's in the bylaw that we meet Tuesday nights, but I'm not necessarily mean that we can't. We've also met, as you know, Monday nights, we've met Thursday, so we're not locked in theoretically.
No, exactly. But at the same time, we've all
cleared out our Tuesday nights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, and there, I do have a job that, puts me, on the road more. it's local, but, I've got to head to Cooperstown. So the question is, I'm obviously going to do my best to keep them off of Tuesday nights, but, it's just a new, wrench in the works that was not last year or the year before, for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, who knows? I mean, maybe, I am still very committed to this, and I will be here on Tuesday nights, and I'm not looking to try and reposition them to other nights, because I know what a disaster it does for all of us. But that's a good point, Randy. I mean, who knows?
So this was just during the budget cycle,
Yeah, exactly.
when we were just in this.
Maybe we do, we obviously did meet, occasionally other nights the past couple of years, and, depending upon how everyone feels and where we are, what's going on, maybe we do try and, pull an audible and do a Saturday morning. But, I think to that point, I think it is important. It obviously requires more work on all of our behalves, but I think I know for me, Stash, I don't know how you feel, but going to that Saturday meeting at the school committee, I thought was very helpful. Just to get a greater sense of everything that is involved.
Well, that one Saturday morning we have to block off, as we can't meet as an advisory, because I definitely want to be there again. There's a lot of information that that comes out of that in explanation of the school's budget.
And I'm not totally sold on the Saturday.
Right, I don't know.
Anyways, it's a
Not
it's a
to
way.
say, I think it's good thinking out of the box in terms of when could we potentially make the timing work, or try to make it a little bit easier on the schedule. But we have a good backbone for Tuesdays, and I heard you earlier saying we're going to try to move a couple things around to make it even more kind of hopefully shorter length of meetings and more appropriate with some of the bigger budgets and things like that. So if you mix too much in at once, then you're not quite sure what's going to work and what's not. I could go either way, and I can be flexible to an extent with notice on, hey, we're not going to get these 3 budgets and we need to meet on Wednesday, Thursday, something like that, with a couple weeks notice. I can do that.
So let's remember that we've tried every combination of meeting with departments. The one night that Connie refers to was under my chairmanship, where we put police, fire, and ambulance on the same night.
That's our Saturday morning right there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, right. But that was a bad decision, and I'll take responsibility for that. I thought it was, since there were so many synergies between the departments, it was good to do. It wasn't good to do. It might be good to do again if you're gonna only talk about the increases. That was think about it, when you're going through every account and you're asking for the background, by now we should all know the background. One of the things last year, the chairman last year did that, quite frankly, took a lot of time, was every department coming in and talking about what they did for the first few minutes. And even though it's a few minutes, it adds up, and we all know what they do. And we're not, unfortunately, as much as we love the viewer probably has a pretty good idea what some of these departments do too. And anyway, so it's using time more wisely is what I'm saying. Maybe you can get Vin, Margie, and Metzer in on the same night if you just limit it to talk to me about we asked for a level funded budget. To the extent that you're not level funded, let's talk about it. And we have to make a decision on whether we approve that or not. That takes it down to here. Now, you might not want to do that for some departments that you're, suspect of, that aren't spending the money the way that we think that they are, and there's some of that too, so understand that. But for some of the little guys, Council on Aid, you might not even need to have a representative come in for veterans agent and Board of Health, all that.
Well, Council of Aging, I always want to.
I didn't say that.
You didn't mean to say that.
Yeah.
But I hear you.
It all depends on what your philosophy is going forward. If we're going to go through line by line and what we used to pride ourselves on doing, you have to be mindful of the schedule. If you're not going to do that, you can pile in a lot more people.
Yeah. Well, I think it is predicated on what is the directive that Don. What's the directive that Don's going to give the department heads, right?
Yep. Well,
Is
but
this-
that's in conjunction with you. That's not, he doesn't make that decision by himself. The chairman usually talks to him about what the letter should say. You guys may determine you may determine that the days of level funding are over because services are starting to suffer. You know, we've done 4 or 5 years of level funding now to try to keep up with the school increase, and we've been saying forever that's not fair, and this is the year where we're gonna say, town departments, if we project the school is gonna go up 3.5%, like they always do, then every department gets 3.5% to go up, and they just have to tell us how they're gonna use it. You get $900,000 in the bank.
Right.
You're not pressed for money. You're not. Now, we know the school's gonna eat up 500 of that, and 3.5% on everything else is another 300, and you're done. But you might determine that level funding is not fair anymore. And I gotta tell you, if I knew for sure that I was gonna stick around for another cycle, that would be one of my calls this year, is to say, enough's enough with level funding.
So,
We
question
tried
mark?
hard though
Yeah.
to address some of the things that, put money into things that we needed to put money into.
Yeah.
We have.
And we've also, even within level funding, if you look at the thing, we've let people increase
Increase.
if they have a good case. And that's maybe the way that it should be. We're not so prescriptive or, or draconian on level
Right.
funding that it stays at level funding, but maybe
Yeah,
this is the
because
year
some-
where you tell people it's we'll accept a 1% increase and just have to justify what the town's gonna get for it. Because we can afford it.
Right.
I mean,
Well, I mean, I would be open to that discussion, at a greater degree, knowing what we have with capital projects.
yeah, well, that's why you have to
we
accelerate
know,
those guys.
we know what we were leaning into, from last year, but what's been rejockeyed by the department heads and what's just brand new.
But again,
That's
let's not lose fact, and I'll come back in February and March, and I will raise my hand at the end of your meetings if I'm not on the committee, and I will continuously remind everybody, we cannot forget that for the past 4 years, we've given the people in the town level funded, and we've let the schools come up with 3, 4, 5% increases, and that's where all of our money's gone.
Right. They had money
And
left over this year.
It's not sustainable. I've kept on saying that. This is not the first time you guys have heard me say that. It's not sustainable. It's disproportionate. It's unfair. So, what are we gonna do about it? And this is counter to my own argument here. The fact that we still leave $300,000 on the table every year in expenses means that what are we gonna, 1% is not necessary. Level funded is probably still the right answer.
And that's level funded for just the services, not the salaries.
So level funded for the dollars, and when we say level funded for the dollars, we don't include the salaries. It's just everything else. And if you know, salaries is like 80% of everything.
Right.
Yeah, so that's built in.
Right.
So it's not real level funded would be, okay, if your salaries are going up 1,000, you gotta come up with 1,000 that cuts somewhere else so that your total department's level funded. We haven't made people do that.
No.
If you look again at the givebacks, don't just be, when you look at that free cash thing, don't just be focused on the fact that there was 80,000 of unexpended stuff. There was 80,000 plus whatever Julie used to cover snow and ice, which was another couple hundred. So if you think about it, again, you have to be able to say that we budgeted $300,000 in expense more than we spent. So, we wouldn't, in that case, again, I'm talking against myself here, we wouldn't have any right saying, let's increase stuff 1% next year, because we won't spend it. We didn't spend level funded last year. So these are things you gotta think about. But you're gonna need to think about it sooner than later, because Don's gonna send that memo out probably in a month or so. Because budget stuff starts in January, and we're already in October. I would think that just based on the fact that, listen, if you saw that there was no money left on the table last year from your departments, you would be able to say, things are really tight. Maybe we need to give them a little bit more rope. The fact that there was a few $100,000 that they didn't spend, and God bless them for not spending it, means that things aren't that tight. Right, what do you think?
I don't know.
Well, then why didn't they spend the
It depends on the
300,000?
department, is that what you're thinking?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's circumstances for each of, you know.
It's across the board. The thing you need to ask for is Julie put in a nice neat line, $80,000. You need to ask her where that 80,000 came from. There's another report that will show you each
Yes.
individual department that it came from. You need to also ask her to put on top of that, the snow and ice stuff that she applied,
Where,
where that came from
It's
too.
the 80, the unencumbered, that,
Yeah.
right here?
yeah.
This is 79. This 78 is expenses budgeted but not used.
Which is the lowest number we've had in a long.
Right, but because this was higher with, well, right, because we had one of the highest snow and ice years this year.
Okay. That meaning these all covered this,
This covered, snow and ice got completely covered in this year, and we still had 113.
got it. And it,
Snow and ice got completely covered, completely
Yeah.
covered, completely covered, and we
not
still had this
completely covered.
not completely
Got
covered.
it. Oh,
Right, and so that, you
Right.
have to think about it differently, a little
Go
bit.
ahead.
All right,
Okay,
we good?
that's it for me, sorry.
All right. So, I'll entertain a motion to call the evening.
So moved.
second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Done.